I'm going to go to law school in DC. I was super confident, honestly. What am I supposed to do? I was so scared because I can't see. I could not tell you what I ate or if I ate. I've got to deal with this somehow because I can't just collapse and stop functioning. I'm serious when I say you can do this. Hello, people. Welcome back to another video from Kirsten's View. And again to my floor, because today is yet another chilly, actually freezing, snowy day in Denver. And I wanted to film again in front of the fire, this time in a cozy hoodie. Actually, I'm still pretty cold. I'm gonna go make some tea. So, Joe, can you help me film making tea?
Why?
Because sighted people care about seeing this shit.
Okay.
You want to be in the video? You're always chewing your bone as the soundtrack every time I film. What do you think?
Is this the one? Yeah, it is.
I'm just gonna...
No! Okay, so while this steeps, one of the hardest periods in my life was when I first moved to Washington D.C, the nation's capital, and I decided to go to law school. I have said many times in different videos on this channel that I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was a teenager. It has been a huge goal of mine, and I also wanted to practice for the government. So with some research, I learned that most of the time to start practicing law with the government, you have to start in DC. So I decided I'm going to go to law school in DC so that I don't have to learn two different cities in about a 3-year time frame. I'm also blind, which is going to factor into my story later on as well, but being blind heavily influenced that decision because I wanted to make sure that I was in a place that I was very comfortable with when I started work. So I was super confident, honestly. I could take care of a home, I could cook and clean, and I actually have a video that I did with my mom about how she wanted to teach me different skills growing up so that I wouldn't be hampered by my blindness. I could be independent like other adults. So I had all these skills, I was good in school, and I thought, I could do this. I could live alone. That's totally fine. So I found an apartment building that would accept my student loan letter as a sort of a cosign proof that was in walking distance of my law school. And I ordered all this furniture in advance. I ordered like a couch, a table and chairs, a dresser, a bed, and I think a tiny end table. And I set everything up. I did everything online and I was ready to go. I had signed up for classes. I had done all the paperwork. And to me, my very type A personality was like, okay, you're perfect. You're golden. You got all this. I had a month before law school was supposed to start. And I was so excited. So I got in the car. My sister, my mom, and my grandma came with me to help me move in. And we drove from Ohio to DC. So we get there, all my furniture was delivered at the same time. I felt so cool because I was like, I did that, I organized that. And it was so nuts because I had no idea what was to come. I should also tell you that I moved to DC on my own dime. I was 22, I had just gotten out of college. I had saved up, everything I could. And I thought I'd budgeted for these expenses, but I didn't necessarily realize how quickly everything could add up. And so we're in the store and the cart is piled high with things. And my mom puts a box of pasta in the cart and she's like, you should have some pasta on hand just in case. And I said, well, how much is that? And she's like, $2. And I started to cry. And I was like, I don't have $2. No, do you see all the things I just had to purchase? What is wrong with you? And she was like, Kirsten, you need this. You need to have some pantry staples to rely on when you're hungry. And I start to get really hazy around the edges. And I start to realize that this really was happening and that I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't know anything really except for how to keep a home nice and how to cook and how to do well in school. But like, what about going to the store? What about going for walks, or how to get medicine if I needed it? Where was the pharmacy? Where was my ability to go to the doctor? What if I got into trouble? Who would I call? And I realized that I didn't actually have anyone to call. For some reason, later that night, I was laying in bed and I just started to cry. And I couldn't really stop. And I didn't know why. And I was so sick and my stomach hurt and I didn't really know what to do. And I just cried, and I was sleeping next to my mom and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, oh man, that's crazy. I'm crying right now. What's wrong with me? It's been 8 years. That just shows you how powerful those feelings were, because I remember them to this day. I was terrified. But my mom and my grandma had to leave. They had to go back home. And so they leave. My sister was in college and she was a server over the summer. And so she'd taken a week or two off. I can't remember how long she stayed with me, but I think it was 2 weeks. I was super grateful for her because we started walking around and I wanted to learn the neighborhood, and I found the grocery store and the pharmacy. I went to the law school many times just so that I knew how to get to the building and where to go to class and all of that. And I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better. But then my sister left. And I don't even know who I was. She left and I went upstairs and I sat on my couch and that was it. Like, I don't even know how much time passed. The next thing I knew, it was the next day. And she left mid-afternoon the day before. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even eat any food. Like, what's going on here? And I, for the next few days, was just crying all the time. I did not know what I was gonna do. I was so scared because I can't see. Like, what possessed me to go to a giant city where nobody really cares about you and try to go to law school, which is its own traumatic experience in itself, and then like just try to exist? Oh my gosh. And I was living off of student loans. I did not come from a wealthy family, so I didn't have, a ton of money to start out with. It just all hit me at once that I was alone. And if I needed help, there was no one there to come and be my support. So I truly just lost myself. I did not know what time it was. I could not tell you what I ate or if I ate. And it was hard because I couldn't really do much without crying. I've never been that way in my life. I did not recognize myself at all. And so I want some tea. Let's see if this is nice and ready to go. I think it will be. You guys, look at these cute little dishes. I use them for like little ramekins. Actually, these are some of the dishes that I bought when I first moved to DC. Oh, handy. Okay. Oh, that's so lovely. Man. Very fortifying. Okay. So I told my mom that I was fine, but I actually really wasn't. And she said, do you want me to send a truck? I can come get you and all your stuff, and we can put you in a law school here in Ohio, and we'll figure it out. And I was so tempted because, like I said, I had really, really come to realize that I was truly, truly alone and I had no help. And I thought about it for a really long time, and I realized that I would truly despise myself if I gave up on everything I'd worked for just because I wanted to go back home where it was safe. And I would feel like I gave up on me. Because many people don't know this, but 70% of blind people in this country are unemployed. Or if they do have a job, they are unable to support themselves enough to live independently. And that was always something that terrified me, and I didn't want to be a statistic. But even more than that, I wanted to be my own person. I wanted to be who I wanted to make myself. And that was what ultimately made my decision. So I called my mom back and I said, no, I think I'm going to stay here. But I'll let you know in a few months if this completely fails, and I'll come home at Christmas time. So I started law school. It was a classic case of fake it till you make it. I definitely acted much more confident than I felt. And I would go to classes and I was hit very quickly with the cold reality that law school was a very, very new beast. And I have a video that I put together because of that fear that teaches new law students how to pass and how to think about things from the very beginning. So if you are starting law school or you know someone that is, go watch that, because those are my hard-earned tips that I put together, and I think they'll really help you. But every day I came home from class, I would sit on my couch, put my bag down, and cry. For hours. I couldn't believe I was still so traumatized by what I was going through that I would just cry and cry every day. And I would lose giant swaths of time, and I would come back or something and realize that it was evening. I needed to eat and I needed to do homework, which was intense homework. It was like at least 50 to 130 pages of reading per class, and often multiple of those readings per night. So it was a lot, and I needed to focus. So I did. And I honestly don't know how I got through the first couple of months, because I decided I was going to go into robot mode and just do it. I didn't really feel much. I just did it. I focused on learning, and I was truly the least confident I think I'd ever been, just because I was so alone. I made a few decisions that I thought were best at the time. Some of them were awesome, and some of them were really detrimental. The first was that I focused on school first and foremost. I really wanted to graduate in the top 5% of my class, because I knew that would really help on my resume to get to where I wanted to be and to make myself stand out amidst all the other legal applicants that would be trying to get into government jobs. So I focused on that. I also decided I was going to try to make some friends, and so I started hanging out with some people in my law school class, and I'd go out with them. You know, occasionally we would study together, which I found to be really fun because I was able to socialize, but also keep up with my goal to be really good in my classes. And so that was great. I started to really try and not sit at home and cry until the dark, but I would try to go and just, essentially I thought if I could go through this experience with other people who also moved to the city alone, maybe it wouldn't feel so bad. The next decision that I made, though, was not a good one. It actually happened that a guy in the year ahead of me in law school took interest in me, and we started hanging out a little bit, and I ultimately decided that I would date him. I'm going to make a video about this because it was one of the worst decisions that I've ever made, I think, and I'll explain why, but I'll just summarize for this video by saying that I instinctively knew that I didn't really click with him the way I would hope in a relationship. But I dismissed a lot of that feeling because I thought, well, we can talk. He makes me laugh. He is interested in me, which I'm so ashamed to say now. I sort of felt like he's the only person interested in me. And that was a terrible thing to think about myself, because it meant that I put all of the decision making on him. Because I thought, well, he's interested in me, so therefore I should accept it. Which meant my fate was decided by somebody else because of their opinion of me. And I'm going to tell you right now, that should never be why you make a decision. You should make a decision because it's good for you and not because of anyone else's opinions about what you should do. But it shows you that these decisions that I made were all to focus on making myself the best I could be and to make myself feel less lonely. Because in my mind, those were the two areas that I lacked at the time. I wasn't my best self and I needed some support. So, out of that incredibly fearful, dark time, I learned 3 very, very crucial lessons that I have never forgotten and that I apply to this day whenever I'm facing something new, and I hope you can learn from them too. The first is, you do not have to wait until the fear is gone before you decide to keep going. I thought when I first got there that I essentially was going to be paralyzed by my fear, by my loneliness, by the vast unknown around me that truly, truly put me in one of the darkest places I've ever been in my life. And I thought, if I can't remove this fear, then I have to go home, because then if I go home, the fear will be gone. That's actually not true. The truth is, the fear is necessary. Because I think for me, the fear showed me that I had something to lose. I felt safe at home, but at home I also felt like I wasn't going anywhere. I was living with my mom, but I didn't have a job. I wasn't advancing myself in any way, and I was just kind of existing. So I knew that the fear meant something, and I realized that I had to find a way to work within that so that I could start to build myself, but I didn't need to put myself back together all the way before taking a step out of my apartment. That's not how it works. You just get enough courage to take the first step outside, then you take the second step, and the third step, and the fourth step. And I think once I realized the fear wasn't going away as quickly as I hoped it would, I kind of just thought, okay, I've got to deal with this somehow, because I can't just collapse and stop functioning. In fitness, they call it being comfortable with the uncomfortable, which is an expression that I actually didn't learn until much later, but I love it because you have to be comfortable or okay with the fact that things are not certain right now. This shit is hard and it's scary and you don't even know if you're going to succeed. But that brings me to my next point, which is the reason for doing the thing has to be bigger than your fear. I had worked my entire life to get to where I wanted to be, which was in a position where I could go to law school in DC, start to get internships, learn the city, all of that. That was my goal. So I had to think, okay, do I want this more than it scares me? And the ultimate answer was yes. Because I somehow was able to put it into perspective that the fear is temporary. The uncertainty would go away once I kind of figured out like what I was doing and where I was gonna go and how to be a little bit more confident in my movements. So I decided that I was going to really just take charge. It kind of reminds me of Harry Potter in the 4th movie when Voldemort's chasing him and he's trying to hide and then he realizes, you know what, no, I'm gonna face this. This is enough. That's honestly how I felt. I turned myself into a machine because I was not going to give up on me. And that is what I want to tell you most of all here. Do not give up on yourself just because it's terrifying. I get that it's terrifying. I was so scared. Oh my God. I was so scared. I truly, truly thought I was going to break my leg and be stuck in an alley in the rain and get robbed. Like the thoughts that I had floating through my head were so terrifying. I thought I was gonna starve to death. I thought I wasn't gonna be able to find my apartment building because I can't see. I thought I was gonna, I don't know. But do not give up on you, because you worked so hard to get yourself there. Now you need to remember that. And now you just need to say, you know what? I'm here. Let's go. So my third point is, don't look at it as the entire goal in front of you, which for me was graduate in the top 5% of my class and get a government job. Okay, well, 8.5 years ago when I first got there, I had no idea how to do that. And I thought about everything in terms of that giant goal, but that's really not the healthy way to do it. You have to look at things as day by day, just day by day. Just focus on going to class, doing really well, coming home, cooking yourself something healthy, doing your homework, getting some sleep. Okay, holy crap, you just made it through a day, and now you can wake up and do it again. And I started to think about it like that, and I even started to exercise. I started to go on walks outside by myself just because I was more confident in my pathways. And I started to feel more like a better me, which I never thought would happen, especially when I was sitting on that couch alone in the dark. But it did. And I am telling you that if you just take it day by day, take that first step out of your apartment, go to the grocery store one time, buy that really nice bottle of wine, put on some music and cook for yourself, do that thing that makes you happy, that first thing. And then you realize that you did it, and then you can do the second thing, and then the third thing. And before you know it, it's the end of the first semester, you've aced your finals, you've done really well on everything, and it's Christmas time. And I don't know how it happens, but it does, and it will for you. And I'm hoping that you can use these tips to help yourself pull out of whatever dark place that you're in right now, this place where you are, where you have no confidence, you have no trust in yourself or your self-worth. I'm serious when I say you can do this. I could do this. We can do this. So that's it. That is the first of many stories that I have for you on times in my life when I lacked confidence and the things that I learned to pull myself out of those dark places and into my better me, actually. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm very excited to do more of these for you, these podcast style chats with some tea. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to share this video with your friends if you think it can help them. Also, if you subscribe to the channel, it is completely free and it just tells YouTube that you're interested in my content and that you would like to see more of it. Hit the notification bell so that you know every time I post a new video, and I will see you in the next one from Kirsten's View. Bye.